Hey everyone, welcome back to a dairy-free stash. I'm Stash and today we're going to do some dairy-free pizza dough. Woohoo! Nothing is better than pizza. It's become a staple in my house. So we have pizza about once a month and we found that nothing beats a homemade pizza dough. Nothing at all. We get store-bought pizzas. Daiya makes one and it's gluten-free. I know Amy's makes a dairy-free pizza. I think one that's gluten and dairy-free. However, we don't avoid gluten, so we have found that we are not a huge fan. My husband and I were not a huge fan of those pizza crusts. It tastes a little bit like cardboard to us after having this pizza dough. So if you're not avoiding gluten and are only avoiding dairy or have other allergies besides gluten, this is a perfect pizza dough recipe for you. So let's get started. I'm going to be using my handy dandy bread machine right here. It's a Cuisinart, as you can see. Don't need one though. You can use your hands. You can use, just like I said in my other bread recipe, hands, a standing mixer with bread hook attachment. Whatever you have, you can use. Bread machine just makes it 1,000 times easier. It's like pour ingredients in and press go. Highly recommend one if you can afford one, or if you already have one, drag that thing out. Let's get started. First of all, I will say this recipe from the get-go, no dairy whatsoever. It is completely dairy-free from the start. No substitutions needed, no nothing. But it's an amazing pizza dough, and I want to show you how to make it so you can make amazing pizzas like we do. So first off, 1 1/8 cup of water. Dump that right in. Next, 2 tablespoons of olive oil. That's it for our wet ingredients. So in this bread machine, wet goes in first, then dry. Wet ingredients done. Let's move on to our next ingredient, which is 3 cups and 1/4 cup of flour. Dump that right in. Bam. 1.5 teaspoons of garlic salt. The original recipe I use calls for regular salt, but I find that the garlic salt just gives you that much more flavor. Next up is 2 teaspoons of Greek seasoning. You can also use Italian seasoning. I interchange them just depending on what I have in my herb shelf, which is over that way. But yes, so Italian seasoning, Greek seasoning, even just plain oregano, whatever you've got that's Mediterranean leafy herb seasoning mix, 2 teaspoons of that. And last but not least, 2 teaspoons of yeast. Alright, and that's it, sort of. This takes an hour and 40 minutes to become a dough between kneading and rising. So I'm going to press start and let the bread machine do its work, and I will see you right afterwards. Alright, see you in a little bit. I love my bread machine. Alright, I'll see you after the bread machine is done doing its thing so we can roll out the dough. Alright, bye! Hey everyone, welcome back. The dough is done. The bread machine did its job. It's all risen. This is what it looks like straight out. You can see it's all nice and puffy. So, now what we're going to do is take it out of the bread basket. I've already pre-prepped the counter with some cornmeal, so it's all set to go and be rolled out without sticking to the surface. So let's take out the dough. You're gonna, in the process, you will be punching out the air, which is completely fine. Grab a little cornmeal so it doesn't stick to your hands like it is to mine. So shape it into a nice round ball. We're gonna be splitting this in half, so you want this to be as even as possible. So splitting it in half is much easier. Take any knife, I'm just going to use this knife, and just eyeball where the halfway mark is and just gently cut through the dough. And then you can pull apart the last little bits. Now do the same thing. You're going to want to shape these into 2 little balls so they're easier to roll out. I didn't do a good job this time, but you can weigh these out with each hand and feel if they feel even. So what I'm going to do, knowing that mine are not even, is I'm going to tear some dough off of the bigger one, reshape, and knead this dough into this ball. And you can keep doing this until they feel even. Call that even. And I'm going to set this dough ball aside, as it's for my husband, and I'm going to wrap it into saran wrap. Alright, so you're going to take your dough ball, get it into a nice round shape, and then the first step I do is I start flattening it out with my hands. And once I get it into a good shape, pat it down, and I grab my rolling pin and start rolling it out. However, if you do not have a rolling pin, a bottle of wine will work just fine. Drink responsibly. But yeah, you can use any roundish object as a rolling pin, just in case you don't have one. I know I used wine bottles for the longest time until I sucked up the courage and got a rolling pin. Alright, make sure your rolling pin is also floured, because this dough will literally stick to anything. And you're just going to roll it out. Doesn't have to be a perfect circle. You can also do the fun pizzeria toss. Alright, and there's your pizza dough. As you can see, mine isn't perfectly round, but who cares? It still tastes the same. It still tastes good. I'm still working on my technique of rolling out a perfect circle. This is about it. I roll out my pizza dough pretty thin because the crust will rise again while you're, one, putting your toppings on or your insides for stromboli, and two, while it's baking, it will also puff up again a little bit. So that's it. Now you can put whatever toppings you want, your favorite dairy-free cheese, sauce, whatever. Make a pizza, make a stromboli, do whatever you want. Go wild. I will be making another video about what I put on my pizza. Until then, see you next time. Bye!